I am Dr. Jane Ponterio, Senior Associate Dean for Student Affairs for the School of Medicine. It is my pleasure to serve as the Master of Ceremony for our 25th annual White Coat Ceremony. Please take a moment now to ensure that your cell phones are silenced, and please try to refrain from talking during the ceremony. Please all rise for the national anthem as performed by our recent graduates and members of the Arrhythmias, and please remain standing until after the invocation. I welcome Rabbi Baruch Fogel, Office of College Affairs, Touro College and University System, to the lectern who will offer the invocation this morning.
Ribon Kol HaOlamim, and Master of the world, bless all those who have assembled here today to take part in New York Medical College's White Coat Ceremony for the class of 2025. Almighty God, Rofechal Basaro Maflila Asos, healer of all flesh and wondrous in your acts, you have instructed and empowered humanity to cure the ill and provide comfort and aid for all of your children. We and all who are involved in this citadel of medical education are your agents in your divine work of healing. May your abundant blessing always be showered on those who enter the halls of this institution. Before you today, dear God, stand women and men ready to begin their education and training. They are ready to learn, they are ready to understand, and they are ready to help others. And they're ready to make the world a better place. We pray to you to grant these future healers the ability to see, hear, and care. May they learn to see every patient as the unique individual that they are. May they learn to hear the spoken and unspoken words of pain so that they can understand their patient that is in front of them. And may they learn that the best way to care for their patient is by caring for their patients. As you don your white coats today, as your medical education, both theoretical and practical, begins, we hope and pray that you will take the responsibilities that you are presented with as serious as they are. At this auspicious event, we also pray to you, dear God, that you shower your blessings upon the students and all their loved ones, parents, spouses, siblings, children, and other dear ones who have been there for support and encouragement, both financial, emotional, and maybe even technological, who have helped them reach this milestone, who have sacrificed so much that these students can persevere and succeed. And we humbly ask that you bless the administration, faculty, and staff of New York Medical College and the Touro College and University System, dedicated men and women who strive to impart knowledge, achieve excellence, and lead by example. Grant them the wisdom, resolve, and fortitude to continue their noble mission of educating the next generation of caregivers. Touro College has a core mission was created to serve, strengthen, and improve your world, dear God. Your world which so sorely needs each and every one of us to work together as a community, society, and a people. Dear God, we ask for your continued divine guidance so that we, together, can achieve that great potential. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Fogel. I will ask that all guests keep their masks on, fully covering your nose and mouth. It is truly my honor and pleasure to serve as the Master of Ceremonies for this 25th annual White Coat Ceremony of the New York Medical College School of Medicine, a truly exciting time for all of us. On behalf of Dr. Edward Halprin, Chancellor and CEO of New York Medical College, Dr. Jerry Nadler, Dean of the School of Medicine, all the administration, senior associate deans, House advisory deans, department chairs, faculty, alumni association, marshals, and staff here today, and all of those working in the hospital who couldn't be here today, I want to welcome all of you, the wonderful class of 2025, and your families to this wonderful White Coat Ceremony. New York Medical College is one of only a handful of medical schools in the country who have gone to great lengths during this pandemic to hold this ceremony in person. I would like to take the time to express my deep appreciation to Rabbi Krupka for acquiring the tent, Dean Jerry Nadler for his support, Faye Seltzer, Assistant to the Dean, Jonathan Pesolano, our Director of Student Affairs, Dean Sozo, Shania Perryman, Donna Westby in my Office of Student Affairs, who are responsible for everything going on under and on the path to and from the tent, as well as a lot that went on behind the scenes. They truly went above and beyond to organize and make this event possible. Please, let's give them a big round of applause. Please, everybody sit down. I'm so sorry. I forgot to put that in my notes. Thank you so much. Take a moment to relax. Just a little bit about the history of the White Coat Ceremony. It is relatively new. This ceremony did not exist when I was a student at New York Medical College. It began in 1993 at Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons with Dr. Arnold P. Gold. One of the pins the students were given to wear on their lapel today are from the Arnold P. Gold Humanism Foundation. As you know, the Hippocratic Oath is often recited upon graduation from medical school. Dr. Gold initiated the White Coat Ceremony to make a point to emphasize the importance of professionalism and humanism in medicine at the beginning of medical school. The tradition spread to other medical schools. New York Medical College School of Medicine brought the ceremony here, and today we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the White Coat Ceremony at New York Medical College. For the families of the students, the support you have provided thus far and will continue far into the future, I'm sure, is incredibly important. You have been a very critical part of their journeys to medical school, and I want to thank you on their behalf. Class of 2025, please join me in acknowledging the support of these wonderful people. I also pledge that it is our role as faculty and staff to provide our ongoing support to your student doctors in training to help them become excellent physicians in both the art and the science of medicine. For the students, this ceremony should remind you, as we don our white coats, we always remember why we chose to be physicians in the first place, and that taking care of patients is our job description, and it's what is expected of us every day moving forward. The white coat is a symbol of your welcome into the profession, your commitment to your future patients, and the value of the human side of medicine. Later, when your investor puts on your white coat, they will literally be setting upon your shoulders the responsibility to serve your community, to be lifelong learners, and to follow the ethical and professional standards of the profession, not only on your journey to becoming a physician, but also for the entire length of your career. This white coat should not be seen as a weight, but rather as a privilege to withhold and uphold. It is a symbol of the commitment to the ideals of compassionate, equitable, scientifically sound, and culturally humble care you have collectively written about in your oath, and that you will recite later in the presence of your family and faculty. So it is our sincere hope and expectation that from this day forward, each and every time you don your white coat, during both times of strong challenges and great joy, you will stay loyal to the pledge you will take today. I would now like to introduce Dr. Renee Garrick, Professor of Clinical Medicine, Executive Medical Director, and Vice Dean for the Westchester Medical Center, to deliver her remarks. Dr. Garrick.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nadler, for asking me to say a few words today. And welcome, most importantly, to our parents and family and friends, Drs. Nadler, Halpern, Kadish, and of course, the amazing class of 2025. For someone like me, who graduated 3 years shy of 50 years ago, it's hard to even say and admit that you are the class of 2025. And you should be remarkably proud of yourselves for what you have already achieved. There were almost 15,000 applicants to our school this year. We interviewed well over 800 students, and 211 were accepted. You now know what it feels like to be in the top 1%, and your parents know that their tuition dollars were very well spent. So congratulations to you all. You are a remarkably diverse group. You come from 15 different states, 9 different countries, and 98 different undergraduate schools. You have graduate degrees in biology, biochemistry, political science, and engineering, and over 25% of you have already earned master's degrees. The youngest member of your class was born in the year 2000. So now we finally have a true millennial among us. And you might know that the cell phone photo phone was invented in the year 2000. And your parents and you will be very happy for that as you take your selfies and videos of yourselves today to record the memories of how proud we all are of you today. And you are joining a remarkably diverse group of faculty. There are over 2,600 professors, clinicians, and scientists who will help engage in your education. These individuals are on the cutting edge of scientific research. For example, members of our faculty have pioneered the ability to create highly specialized cells to help cure childhood cancers, and have developed new ways to use bone marrow transplantation to cure sickle cell disease. Other faculty are using cutting-edge technology to identify and salvage brain tissues real-time during the stroke, and thereby prevent life-changing damage. In November of this past year, during the height of the second wave of the COVID pandemic, the clinicians who will help to train you placed a pregnant woman on full life support, utilizing a technique known as extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, nicknamed ECMO for short, which takes over the entire function of the heart and the lungs. The physicians were able to deliver her baby and rescue the mother. After her long and unbelievably complex illness, in May of 2021, on Mother's Day, she met her baby. Yes, the science of medicine is truly spellbinding. When I was a young student sitting in your seat, I honestly had no idea what it meant to be a doctor. I probably figured that if I studied really hard and learned everything that my professors tried to teach me, that I would be a good doctor. As I thought about my remarks today, what I really wanted to share with you was that to be a good doctor is really to understand the deep fabric of our craft. And that fabric is the relationship between ourselves and our patients. When you sit next to a patient, and notice, I said when you sit next to a patient, not when you stand by the door talking to them from afar, not when you sit typing on your computer, maybe with your back to them, but when you sit next to a patient, they will share with you their deep fears and their secrets, and they will trust you to hopefully help them, maybe even cure them, but certainly to make them feel better. That relationship, that bond, is something extraordinarily special. And make no mistake about it, these are not our customers. They are not here to buy a pair of shoes or a car. They're here to trust you to help them. Remember that the faculty of New York Medical College understand that learning the art of communication, the art of healing and compassion, is as important as learning the scientific language of medicine. Please know that we are here to help you develop that skill as well, so that each time you approach a patient, you will remind yourself that what you are sharing with them may change their life forever. Their experiences, their culture, their background, their life consequences are likely very different from your own. Think of that before you speak. Consider how you would like to hear the message that you're about to share. Remember that, believe it or not, someday being a doctor will become very routine for you. But those stories and those messages will never be routine for our patients. Patients may quickly forget the science of what you are sharing with them, but they will never forget how you made them feel when you were sharing that message. And remember, too, that you will be viewed as the team leader. But it actually takes a whole slew of people to help take care of our patients. Scientists, clinicians, administrators, nurses, therapists, social workers, dietitians, advanced practitioners, psychologists. Each one of these people are highly trained professionals, and you will be turned to as the critical clinical lead, and it will be your job, my job, and the job of our fellow faculty to be sure that everyone in that room is treated with respect and with consideration for the highly trained professionals that they are. Remember, too, that you have to take care of yourselves. This is a very complicated career, and you will have many, many challenges. It'll be hard sometimes to limit the calls to take your time away from your family, your children, your spouse, and your parents. But please remember that you need to take care of yourself and achieve that life balance to be a complete physician. So in closing, as you embark on your medical career, every once in a while, stop and think about why you did this. and what an enormous privilege it is to be a physician. While some might talk about helping others, every day of your life, you will actually do that. We're enormously proud of you, and we wish you great success as you look within yourselves to help those around you. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Garrick, for those very inspiring words. I am pleased to introduce Raj Kumar Pamal, School of Medicine, Class of 2023, who is President of the Student Senate and will now address the Class of 2025.
Thank you, Dr. Ponteria. Good afternoon, distinguished deans, faculty, members of the New York Medical College School of Medicine Class of 2025, and all the family and friends, both here in person and attending virtually. My name is Raj Kumar Pamal. I'm a third-year medical student here at NYMC, and I'm serving as the School of Medicine Student Senate President for this academic year. It is my honor to have this opportunity to address you all today on such a meaningful moment in your journeys in medicine. Back in 2019, when I was an M1, I was fortunate to attend the NYMC Learn, Serve, Lead conference in Phoenix, Arizona, along with my fellow classmates who were presenting some of NYMC's unique facets, the resiliency curriculum and humans of NYMC. The resiliency curriculum is a student-led initiative to combat medical student burnout and create a culture of openness around mental health and emotional well-being. Humans of NYMC focuses on the power of human connection through sharing the stories of our peers. During one of the conference poster sessions, an interested observer came up to speak with us. It turns out this individual was Dr. Sandra Gold, co-founder of the Arnold P. Gold Foundation, which instituted the white coat ceremony while we're here today, as a way to highlight the importance of humanism in medicine at the outset of students' medical education. As we spoke with Dr. Gold, what I remember most vividly was the importance she placed on listening to our stories. What were our childhoods like? Why did we decide to pursue medicine? What brought us here together? Simply put, Dr. Gold was leading us through an exercise in reflection on our own lived experience and how it relates to our shared humanity. This is an exercise you will repeatedly pursue as a medical student and future physician. You will ask your patients many questions, not just to find out what ails them, but also to understand who they are, their hopes and fears, and how you can help. In order to best care for them, your goal will be to understand their story, much like Dr. Gold did ours. After all, it's called taking a patient history for a reason. In a 2014 article published in the Journal of Academic Medicine titled Attitudes and Habits of Highly Humanistic Physicians, Dr. Carol Chow and others describe habits that physicians believe help sustain their humanistic attitudes. We've already discussed two habits they mention: connecting with patients and self-reflection. And now I'd like to talk about a third: balance. To some of you, balance will mean loading up on caffeine so you can alternate binge watching your favorite Netflix shows with binge watching your anatomy lectures. But in all seriousness, establishing a balance between your studies and activities that promote your well-being is one of the most challenging parts of medical school. A good way to do this is following your passions and hobbies outside of the classroom, whether that be advocacy or research or cooking or running. Doing the things you love will keep you rejuvenated and ready to learn. And of course, carve out time to keep in touch with your family. They are thinking of you and rooting for you more than you know. Maya Angelou once eloquently stated, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." This sentiment is one that we should all carry throughout our encounters in medical school and beyond, not just with our patients, but also with our classmates and colleagues. The challenges and stressors of being a medical student are unique, continual, and evolving. Sometimes there's nothing more helpful and uplifting during medical school than a brief check-in from a classmate, that minute you stop outside of the library to inquire about how someone is doing, the text of encouragement you receive from an upperclassman mentor, or the occasional night that you opt for trivia at Captain Lawrence with friends instead of studying. As you don your white coats today, know that you are surrounded by a welcoming, enthusiastic community of fellow students and faculty, eager to contribute to and admire your future success. Enjoy every moment. Remember what brought you here. Stay balanced and put people first. Congratulations, School of Medicine Class of 2025, on this tremendous accomplishment, and best of luck for all that is to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. I would now like to call upon Dr. Jerry Nadler, Dean of the School of Medicine, to deliver his remarks. Dr. Nadler?
Thank you, Dr. Ponterio. It is my privilege and honor to be Dean at New York Medical College and represent the wonderful faculty, the chairs, the deans, and all the staff that have made today a wonderful day so far and will be a wonderful day, and the next 4 years for the class of 2025. The best advice I can give is to listen to the words you heard so far and the words you will hear from Dr. Etienne in a few minutes. As I said to the parents and alumni earlier, Dean can be a tough job, but here at New York Medical College, it's a wonderful job given the fact that I have such wonderful staff, faculty, and deans, and that we can have this occasion together, which we should all be thankful for, that we can be here in person and enjoy this very meaningful but important moment in the pathway for the class of 2025 to become physicians. So I wish to welcome the class of 2025 and their family and friends to this important milestone. You already heard about the origins of this special white coat ceremony, and then Dr. Garrick and I and several other people, we didn't have the opportunity to celebrate this wonderful occasion, so we're thrilled that our students and families can do this. So it's been a challenging 18 months of this pandemic, and we're not out of the woods yet. We're, as you heard earlier, we're keeping this campus as safe as possible, doing everything possible. And I know our thoughts and prayers go out to our family members, friends, others that have lost their lives in this pandemic. And I do want to, a moment for thoughts for those people that have lost their lives, and may we always remember them, and also that their names and memories always be for a blessing. So please take a moment to think about all the people that have lost their lives in this pandemic as we celebrate this occasion. Thank you. So now more than ever, it's very clear how important it is to heed the words that you've heard, heed the words that you will hear about becoming, for the class of 2025, humanistic, caring, scientifically well-trained physicians that are focusing on the patients. It's so important these days, especially also given the racism that we still have in this country, as well as the areas of health inequalities. There are major advances in science, tremendous advances. You've heard about some of them by Dr. Garrick, and I'll give you an announcement that I just came up. So you're the first large group that's going to hear about this, that New York Medical College was chosen as one of the few centers in the state to actually do genomic sequencing and identify the pathways and what's happening with this pandemic in the future. In the lab right behind you, you have most sophisticated genomic sequencing possible, and we're very proud of our faculty and staff that we were chosen by the state to be one of the major centers doing this. So there's so many advances and opportunities that we all should never forget that care should be centered on the patient, as you heard from Dr. Garrick. And the wonderful thing about New York Medical College, it has a wonderful tradition for focusing on diversity, inclusion, and also how our diverse population needs the care that we will provide I'm honored to be dean at this medical school with such a dedicated group of faculty, staff, and many here today that will be soon putting on the white coats, donning the white coats for our students. So to the class of 2025, as you come to the stage, soon you'll be coming to the stage to have your white coats donned by our deans, chairs, and faculty. Reflect on mentorship, reflect on what you've heard, reflect on that you'll need assistance, and lean on people. Lean on your peers that you heard about, your faculty, your deans, your alumni, your parents, your loved ones. All these people will be needed and very valued to you to succeed in the very important career that you're about to embark on and reach your dreams. Always remember that continued support of your family and friends and peers will be very important in reaching your goals, and never forget that. As a parent of a medical student who successfully graduated and now graduated from residency, I could tell you how important it is to have the parents and family continue to provide support. Very important. You will learn a lot of things here, medical school, and we're here to support you. So I just want to end with a quote from a physician who lived many, many years ago, but some of the words that Maimonides echoed back then still are important today. And this is an amendment of some of the words that Maimonides was said to speak. Preserve the strength of my body and my soul, that they ever be ready to help and support rich and poor, good and bad, enemy as well as friend. In the sufferer, let me see only the human being. Illumine my mind that it recognizes what presents itself and that it may comprehend what is absent or hidden. These words, ancient words, apply today, and Dr. Garrick in her comments echoed many of these same comments. Remember, you will learn all about science. You will learn about all these advances. You'll learn about major opportunities for preventing, curing, reversing suffering. But taking care of patients is the most important, is why we become physicians, and never forget that. So may you and your loved ones remain healthy during this difficult time. May you all become true healers during your time here at New York Medical College and beyond. I wish you true fulfillment in all your dreams, and we're thrilled to have you all here for the class of 2025. Congratulations. So now it's my honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Mil Etienne, who will provide his keynote remarks on this meaningful occasion. Some of you met Dr. Etienne earlier, and I'll take this moment to tell you a little about Dr. Etienne. Hopefully won't get, but so many things to say, but I'll keep it brief. Dr. Etienne is a New York Medical College graduate of 2002, as we have several graduates here behind the stage. He holds the title of Professor of Neurology and Medicine, Associate Dean of Student Affairs, and most recently was given the honor by Dr. Halpern of being Vice Chancellor for Diversity and Inclusion for entire New York Medical College. This past April, Dr. Etienne was awarded a very special honor, the Lenato Humanism Award in Medicine, by our chapter of the Arnold Gold Humanism Foundation. Dr. Etienne is a major advocate in medicine and has been a leader in New York Medical College Task Force for Anti-Racism and Anti-Bias in Medicine curriculum. He has also advocated advances in our curriculum to help our students understand and address healthcare disparities, which I spoke about earlier in the United States. To recognize Mil's major contributions and advocacy, he was awarded a very special honor just last month. He was given the inaugural Champion of Change Award by Cranes in New York. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Etienne to the podium to give his remarks.
I'll need this just in case I go long. Have some water there. So good afternoon, Dr. Kadish, Dr. Halpern, Rabbi Krupka, Dr. Nadler, deans, faculty, family, partners, friends, and most importantly, the newest members of the NYMC community, the New York Medical College School of Medicine, class of 2025. This ceremony commemorates your entry into the field of medicine, and I am deeply humbled to have been invited to give remarks to you at such an important occasion. I will start by talking about a patient I saw about 2 months ago with my third-year medical students. This patient was a middle-aged woman who had suffered a traumatic brain injury. She had been seen by many doctors and felt she was not getting the help she needed. At the conclusion of the visit, she remarked, "So, are you going to tell me that you will see me in 6 months? I just want you to know that those 6 months between doctor's appointments are always the longest 6 months." I reassured her that I would see her in a few weeks and then met with the students to go over the comments she made about the longest 6 months and what that means for us as clinicians. So what is it that happens when we tell a patient to follow up in 3 months, 6 months, or a year? I recall going to see an ophthalmologist in 2017, and at the end of the evaluation, he told me to follow up in 5 years. I suppose that was a good sign that I could wait 5 years to return, but at the same time, I wondered about the many things that could go wrong with my eyes during that time. So to go back to our patient, what happens in 6 months? And questions to consider. You will have given them a treatment plan. What challenges might they have in adhering to that treatment plan? If you made dietary recommendations, will the patient have access to fresh food, whether it be fruits, vegetables, or produce, to gain a better control of their underlying medical condition? If you recommended exercise, will the patient know the steps to take to start such a program so that progress could be made towards their goals? Will the patient have issues paying their rent or mortgage, trouble managing their children, trouble getting a job? Even going to the supermarket can be arduous for some of our patients. Will that patient have access to you during that time? Studies are clear that patients with access to their physicians between visits have better health outcomes. Will the patient even be in the position to make that medical condition a priority? Or are there going to be other pressing issues in their lives that will prevail? It will be your job to find this out. I actually shared this patient's story last month at a ceremony for our new third-year medical students. And interestingly, just last week, I was seeing that same patient in follow-up with one of the new third-year medical students. At the conclusion of the visit, I told her that her story inspired a speech that I gave to an entire class of medical students. She immediately started crying and expressed how glad she was that her story would inspire future doctors to give patients better care. After we left the patient and went back into the office, the medical student expressed gratitude for allowing him to connect this patient's story to what he had heard me share with his class just a few weeks ago. He then asked me a non-medical question. How do you go about preparing a speech? I advised that I always start by giving the speech a title, because that helps me to stick to a theme and get one clear message across to the audience. And so I will share with you that I have entitled this speech, "In Order To." I will go one step further and tell you how I came up with this title. I greatly enjoy reading history, particularly military history. And last year I decided to read General Jim Mattis's book, which is entitled Call Sign Chaos. He spends much of the book speaking about the traits of great leaders, and he explains the importance of making sure the people following the leader know what the end goal is. The way he explains this is by saying when he gives a command, he makes sure he says, quote, "in order to," end quote. So what does this phrase actually mean? It is a reminder to always try and understand why you are taking the various actions that you take. So in other words, you have to know what you're doing while you're doing it. Indeed, enough studies have shown that when we understand why we do what we are doing, we will be more motivated and more likely to complete that task successfully. So I will start with a simple example. Just a few moments ago, I rose from my seat and walked over to the podium in order to deliver these remarks. Now you, the class of 2025, have just completed your orientation and treasures into medical school. Why are you going to medical school? Are you going to medical school for medical school's sake? Or because you would like to have sleepless nights of studying? And certainly not to go deep into debt. Rather, you are going into medical school in order to learn how to be a physician. So as you go through each of the courses over the next 2 years, you have to keep in mind that the first year of medical school, you are taking gross anatomy, histology, biochemistry, physiology, neuro and behavioral sciences in order to gain the knowledge that you will need in order to enter the second year of medical school. At which point, you will take microbiology, pharmacology, pathology, and pathophysiology in order to be able to diagnose and treat patients. Throughout both those years, you will study medical ethics, structural determinants of health, history of medicine, among other coursework, in order to make sure that you are a well-rounded physician. You will study the foundations of clinical medicine and work with a preceptor in order to learn how to take a history to gather data in order to provide the best possible care for your patients. You meet the benchmarks, and you will then be promoted to the clinical years of medical school and have the opportunity to take a deep dive into clinical medicine. You will go through numerous clinical rotations in order to establish a strong foundation in clinical medicine in order to pursue and excel in the field of your choice. Then in fourth year, you will submit your residency application in order to match into your dream residency program. So in preparing these remarks, I thought back to my own journey in medicine. 23 years ago, I was sitting in your seat right here at New York Medical College for my own white coat ceremony. I was not yet a U.S. citizen at that time. My family and I had come here as refugees in the 1980s, fleeing the bloody regime of Baby Doc Duvalier in Haiti. I recall as a child when HIV/AIDS was spreading throughout the United States. Numerous communities were blamed for the spread of this deadly virus around our nation, including people who were from Haiti. I recall in my 6th grade classroom being separated from the other students in the class because there was a concern that I would infect them with HIV. Although I had never been tested for this medical condition, had no risk factors, and have never had this diagnosis. So without having this diagnosis, I was able to get a glimpse of how people who truly had this diagnosis were being alienated, ostracized, and made to feel less than human. Eventually, people of Haitian descent were no longer blamed for this infection, but other groups were subsequently targeted and alienated in similar fashion. We have to do better than that. Over the past year, we have seen a rejuvenation of the social justice movement. Marginalized communities and their allies have risen up and demanded better of the establishment. Last summer, on a Saturday morning, I called my friend Sharon Floyd, someone I have known for nearly 40 years. We were next-door neighbors throughout childhood. She told me her experience of finding out that her first cousin, George Floyd, had been killed by police. She found out about it the same way you and I did. She watched videos of police officer choking him to death. She had seen the video multiple times before she recognized his voice saying, "I can't breathe," and him calling out to his mom, who had been dead for years. We can do better. So when you hear stories like these, it is important to reflect on how to knock down these structures and other barriers that are being placed that will negatively impact those people, and of course, how those structures may impact your patients. You can also reflect on your own position of privilege and whether or not you are perpetuating these inequities. Will you allow yourselves to be a bit less comfortable so others can appreciate some comfort, even if for a brief moment? So as you prepare to don these white coats for the first time today, I encourage you to reflect on what it means to wear these white coats. As you put on these white coats, you will be making a commitment to your patients and to humanity, to carry yourself with the utmost professionalism at all times. In order to provide exceptional care to patients, you have to do more than learn the basic sciences. I did my residency training at Columbia University, which is where the white coat ceremony, for medical students originated. While there, I also had the opportunity to work with Dr. Arnold P. Gold, co-founder of the Gold Humanism Honor Society, and recall how he cared for his patients and interacted with the residents and medical students, always stressing humanism. So how do you do this? I like to keep it basic. As you go through these years, you make sure you take the time to eat healthy, exercise, and communicate with your family. Thank your family and others who played a role in getting you this far. These same people will be instrumental in getting you through medical school. You can thank them now by giving them a round of applause. I think you can show a bit more gratitude. Let's really hear a round of applause for the folks who helped you get here. Much better. That's how you show gratitude. Additionally, make sure you do the things that you have always enjoyed, whether it be reading, cooking, listening to music. You should be able to identify something you really enjoy. That something should be something aside from studying. I know how much you all love studying, and you might find it fun, but you gotta have something else. And when I say reading, we're talking about reading a novel, not reading medical textbooks and medical journals. Last thing I will mention is to explore this vibrant NYMC and the surrounding community. You inevitably may find new activities that you enjoy, and you will make new friends. You are not a piece from a jigsaw puzzle. You likely fit in many different places. Doing this will help broaden your world view so you can provide better care for patients. You do these enjoyable activities in order to stay true to yourself, recharge, maintain a good mental health, which will all set you up to have a great deal of resilience, allowing you to excel during your years here at New York Medical College. Your resilience cannot be denied, as you will be taking your medical student oath today on August 1st, 2021, in the midst of a deadly pandemic. As you go through medical school, always remember that you are in training in order to take care of fellow human beings. And human beings, patients, are vulnerable. When a patient enters the hospital, they're often being dropped off, and no matter how benign the condition, there's always the possibility that they may not make it out of the hospital alive. Think back throughout your life when you were dropped off at a daycare, at your elementary school, at a sleepaway camp, at college. If you're having trouble with these examples, think back to last week when you were dropped off at medical school. What emotions did you experience? Well, being dropped off in a hospital is an entirely different level of experience. Being dropped off in all these situations, you may miss your loved ones, you will have to get used to staying in a different environment, may have to get used to a roommate or multiple roommates, get used to eating different foods, but on top of all that, when you are dropped off in the hospital is the thought that you might also die. So my message to you, the members of the class of 2025, is to study the basic sciences like your life depends on it. Because one day, someone's life will depend on the knowledge that you will gain throughout your time in medical school. Every second, every minute, every hour, and day that you spend studying over the next few years is because our patients, your future patients, are worth it. Always remember that your studying is not so much for a test score, but rather it is in order to better be prepared to care for those patients. Every year, I have the privilege of working with the first-year medical students in preparing their oath for the white coat ceremony. It was not lost on me that your class, in preparing your oath, had a focus on lifelong learning, social justice, and treating each patient as an individual. You were unwavering in your commitment to express these ideals in your oath. For that, I will say you are ahead of the curve. In our discussions, you've already expressed understanding that each diagnosis impacts each individual patient very differently. It made me think back to some of the diagnoses I made this week, particularly the diagnoses that we call benign, but have rather severe consequences for some of our patients. Likewise, there are many patients I have taken care of with inoperable tumors and other terminal diagnoses without clear pharmacologic, radiation, or surgical treatment. These are the times that your compassion, your humanism, your humor can bring healing to the bedside. Healing the human spirit is deeply gratifying. These patients need you too. We as clinicians have the privilege of being able to help our patients process information. It is important to take the time to tell the patient that you will not abandon them no matter what. There is so much more you can do for this patient. These are the times that you can dig deep inside and bring true healing to the bedside. And don't you forget it. The time that you give to these patients is priceless. I recall one day many years ago, I finished seeing patients in my office and was driving to NYMC. While on the road, a police officer called me and informed me that one of my patients was found dead, face down in her bed that morning, and he wanted me to confirm her cause of death as sudden death from epilepsy. That was the first I was hearing the news of this death. This was a young woman who for years had been in and out of the intensive care unit with nonstop seizure activity that we call status epilepticus. I took over her care, and she was now seizure-free for a year and a half, and so it was shocking to hear that she had died this morning. When I called to speak to the mom, it was pure heartbreak. She said for years she was prepared for her daughter to die from the epilepsy, but not now, because she had become seizure-free. She had started nursing school, and her life was moving in a whole new direction. Just a couple months before, they had dropped off a card in my office indicating I was her guardian angel for helping give her a new life. So yes, you can do everything right and still have a bad outcome. This story is also a reminder that when we are taking care of a patient, we often form bonds with the patients and their families in their most vulnerable times. Likewise, as you go through medical school, you will form rather strong bonds with your classmates as you gradually transform into full-fledged physicians. You look to your left. I know you've done this before. You look to your left. I don't see anybody looking to the left. Left is that way. Okay. You're gonna. That's very important. The directions are very important when you go through med school. Look to your left. Okay, good. Look to your right. All of you will become physicians. But the truly great physicians will be those who regularly reflect on their performance and benefit from continuous self-examination. You have all been battle-tested, you have braved the storm, and you're still standing. And I know you're all going to hit the ground running as you enter your first year of medical school. You've got this. I'm rooting for you, and I look forward to hearing all your great triumphs in the years to come. I am thrilled to welcome you, the members of the class of 2025, into our profession. Wear your white coat with pride, and never forget that we don these white coats in order to honor our sacred vocation and privilege in caring for patients. Thank you once again for having me as your speaker for this wonderful occasion.
Thank you, Dr. Etienne. That was wonderful. Well, students, the moment you and your families and all of us have been waiting for has arrived. We will now proceed with investing you with your white coats. Your white coat is presented to you through generous donations made to the Medical Student Scholarship Campaign. We thank all of our benefactors for making such a significant contribution to your experience here at New York Medical College. And as Dr. Etienne said, wear your coat with pride. I'd like to ask my esteemed colleague, Dr. Jennifer Kessler, who has my back when I forget to tell you to sit down, and is the Senior Associate Dean for Medical Education, to please come to the lectern to begin the presentation of the class of 2025. Dr. Kessler.
Good afternoon, everybody. The white coats will be invested today by distinguished deans and faculty. Audience, please hold your applause until each group of students has been invested with their white coat. Investors, please take your places on the stage as I call your names. Dr. Alejandro, Dr. Caparelli, Dr. Cherugi, Dr. Pesolano, and Dr. Racklin. Students, proceed. Mawardi Abdul Kudir. Samuel Abakasis. Stephen Abijamil. Salvatore Affronti. Sean Afari. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students proceed to the podium? Shreya Agarwal. Usewi Ifua. Michael Arrow. Nadia Ambersum. Phoebe Asante. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students please proceed to the podium? Bethlehem Usifa. Nicholas Barone. Benzion Barris. Emily Beckett, Jonathan Beal. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students please proceed to the podium? Brittany Bieneman, Tony Bonner, Angelique Boyer, Paige Brabant, Matthew Brandenburg. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students please approach the podium? Carolyn Brett Hauer, Nicole Brennan, Moishi Bilmash, Alexis Carr, Arturo Castillo. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students proceed to the podium? John Catalano, Isabel Cho, Stephen Cherney, Suni Chi, Udib Chowdhury. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students please proceed to the podium? Michael Cisneros, Francesco Chufo, David Callett, Kaibo Chui, Allegra DeLandry. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students please proceed to the podium? Peter DePhillips, Yakov Deitch, Michaela Dixon, Ivan Dominguez, Jessica Dorio. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students please proceed to the podium? Candace Dice, Jeremy Eichler, Guy Elgar, Nathaniel Al-Qaim, Shirley Ang. Doctors, please invest your students. Thank you, students. At this point, I would like to ask the next group of investors to proceed to the podium. Thank you to the first group for doing such a wonderful job. Will the next group of investors please join me on the stage? Dr. Daniel Zelazny, Dr. Frederick Bierman, Dr. Richard McCarrick, Dr. Gary Stallings, and Dr. Ray Witt. Supir Flank, SOM Forashani, Christopher Fredericks, Jason Fu, Ahmed Gaber. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students please proceed to the podium? Richard Gallardo, Caitlin Gaudio, Yehuda Gedgerman, Armin Jarami, Federico Girardi. Doctors, please invest your students. Michaela Glass, Elizabeth Glickson, Omar Gabji, Benjamin Goodfriend, Gina Grass. Doctors, please invest your students. Kaylee Greenberg, Vasiliki Gregory, Lauren Grosbois, Matan Grunfeld, Harry Haran. Doctors, please invest your students. Will the next group of students please proceed to the podium? Kathleen Harwood, Rebecca Harris, Alexander Haratunian, Inbar Hazan, Alexandra Hebard. Doctors, please invest your students. Thank you. The next group of students will proceed to the podium. John Herrick, Meyer Herzog, Rahim Hirani, Rashid Hossein Woodley. Vivian Alonzo. Doctors, please invest your students. Thank you. Aruba Iqbal. Danielle Israel. Josephine Eisenman. Ankita Jain. Mohammed Kalish. Doctors, please invest your students. Congratulations. Tamima Karnelfogel. Avraham Karp. Miriam Katz. Maria Kauslaiskaya. Alina Khan. Doctors, please invest your students. I can't. Thank you. Sammy Kasib. Chaeyoon Kim. Rebecca Kindler. Michelle Klausner. Karishma Krishnan. Doctors, please invest your students. Thank you very much. I would now ask the investors to please take their seats as I call up my esteemed colleague, Dr. Joanna Pessolano, who will present additional names in the class of 2025.
Thank you, Dr. Kessler. Students, it is a pleasure to be here today to read your names. If I am unfamiliar with your name and make an error, please forgive me. You can correct me later. I want to learn who you are, and that begins with saying your name properly. So now, I would like to introduce our next set of investors. We are asking Dr. Stallings and Dr. Witt to return to the front of the stage. Also, Dr. Islam, Dr. Sharugi, and Dr. Gandhi. Sophie Cronin. Yosef Kuseve. Alexander Lebowski. Alexander Ludinsky. Joshua Lee. Doctors, please invest your students. Okay, next group. Our next group. Okay. Peter Lencher. Jasmine Levine. Yisrael Levy. Joshua Lewis. Tanner Lewis. Doctors, please invest your students.
Thank you so much.
Our next group. Michelle Lee. Gianni Liang. Tammy Liu. Cassidy Laris. Alejandra Lopez. Doctors, please invest your students. Excellent. Our next group. Mitra Mani. Christopher Marcantonis. Jessica McQuaid. Adriana Mesa. Nira Mohammed. Doctors, please invest your students. Nicholas Moy. Rachel Mund. Brian Morrissey. Kieran Morty. Joshua Moise Silverman. Doctors, please invest your students. Next group. Denora Morota. Caleb Naruzi. Odenachi Agowa. Fianfolua Olagosho. Almost. Noah Orlean. Doctors, please invest your students. Okay. Talia Ostral. Siyuk Park. Dylan Patel. Parth Patel. Dennis Paul. Doctors, please invest your students. Congratulations. Cindy Peraza. Kerrigan Perry. Wendy Piadra. Olivia Plotzker. Danielle Portman. Doctors, please invest your students. Connor Prendergast. Kelly Pune. Christina Rabadi. Mohammed Rahman. Durrani Rao. Doctors, please invest your students. Very good. And now we will have a new set of investors who will include Dr. Stallings, who will remain standing, Dr. Zelazny, Dr. Tawari, Dr. Susan Racklin, and Dr. Renee Garrig. Divya Rao. Daoud Rashid. Victoria Robbins. Jonathan Rockoff. Jesus Rodriguez. Doctors, please invest your students. Congratulations. Kirkwanique Roll. Luis Romero Padilla. Sarah Rubin. Kira Reinhold. Jared Sachs. Doctors, please invest your students. Congratulations. Ariel Saknovitz. Alexandra Sadigolvad. Angelika Sarabakian. Shmuel Shashitsky. And Susanna Sati. Doctors, please invest your students. Beautiful. Nathan Schanzer. Richard Shin. Catherine Solari. Ruvneet Singh. Leah Sittenfeld. Doctors, please invest your students. Excellent. Sanjana Sevegnanam. Norbert Smatolo. Rosa Soto. Ooh. Sorry. Rachel Sprons. Justin Stein. Doctors, please invest your students. Next group. Odie Steinhardt. Rachel Stern. Adriana Spinda. Erica Thomas. Zachary Thomas. Doctors, please invest your students. Yeah. Okay, we're all set.
Hold on. Oh, we're going.
Kana Trimbulak. Unaz Udin. Shlomo Unger. Zachary Valley. Matthew Vaughn. Doctors, please invest your students. Michael Vasquez. Kristen Abud Vincente. Mariana Villalobos Ortiz. Jacob Voss. And Richard Wiang. Doctors, please invest your students. Doria Weiss. Chien Yao. Michelle Yu. Gavin Yuan. Emily Zhang. Doctors, please invest your students. Tom Zhang, and David Zuckerman. Doctors, please invest your students. I would like now to invite Dr. Pontario back to the lectern to continue the presentation of the class of 2025.
Thank you, investors. It is my pleasure as an alumni of New York Medical College to now announce the class of 2025 legacies who will be invested by their alumni family members or one of our deans. Caleb Beers. Ian Cho. Liam Cotter. Antonella Descanio. Wait 1 second. Doctors, please invest your student. J. Dave Dave. Alyssa Drexler. Amanda Elimia. Kaylin Feingold. Doctors, please invest your student. Harry Fruchtman. Hunter Nash Glickman. Michael Guo. Gabriel Haruso. Doctors, please invest your students. Benjamin Henreid. Zaria Holcomb. Lindsay Immers. Julia Kahn. Doctors, please invest your students. Okay, thank you. Joshua Kang. Timothy Kloufas. Madeline Meckelrath. Avery Morrison. Doctors, please invest your students. Okay, thank you. Marissa Nash. Megan Patton. Cara Petrucci. Madison Thompson. Doctors, please invest your students. Melanie Vassallo. Ariadne Zias. Doctors, please invest your students. Okay, thank you. Please join me in congratulating the members of the class of 2025. Woo! Please do a headstand. No, I'm. That's right. All right. As is our tradition at New York Medical College, I will now ask Dr. Mil Etienne to lead the class of 2025 in reciting their medical student oath.
In order to, no. You're going to be dreaming about that now. Okay. Every year, the Director of Medical Ethics and myself work with the incoming students to draft their student oath for this white coat ceremony. We always give the students the option of using one of the past oaths. However, each year, the students have consistently expressed that they prefer to create their own oath so that it is easier to hold themselves and their classmates accountable to living up to the tenets of the oath. This year, Professor Lila Kajidin and myself met with the students who volunteered to be on the oath committee for this class. We met with them this past Monday after the conclusion of a full day of orientation. That evening, we met from 5 p.m. until nearly 8 p.m. and got the bulk of the oath written. After drafting the oath was circulated to the entire class so that all students in the class have an opportunity to weigh in on this oath. And this is the oath that the class of 2025 will recite today. The students have also expressed that they would like to recite this oath at the beginning of each year of medical school in order to recommit themselves to the tenets of their oath, and they did say that. So members of the class of 2025, please take a copy of your oath into your hand. I'll give you some time to, you got them? Okay, great. And then please rise. And repeat after me. I stand here today as a member of the New York Medical College class of 2025 to accept my white coat and the responsibilities it bestows. I recognize the privilege conferred to me through this profession and commit to advocating for my patients and humanity in accordance with the highest moral standards. I acknowledge the existence of my implicit biases and will make every effort to overcome them throughout my career, and I will ensure that they do not impact my practice of medicine or the treatment of others whom I encounter. I pledge to be mindful of the structural challenges faced by my patients. Ensure equitable access to health resources, remain curious, and practice cultural sensitivity and humility. I pledge to uphold the fundamental principles of ethically sound conduct throughout my medical training while holding fellow students to an equally high standard. I vow to uphold the ideals of New York Medical College by following the tenets of cura personalis. That each patient should be provided an individualized and holistic form of care that takes into consideration their humanity. I vow to celebrate the vitality and resilience of the human spirit by approaching each day guided by the personal inspiration that led me to pursue a career in medicine. I promise to maintain academic integrity while supporting and encouraging my peers throughout our educational endeavors. I dedicate myself to being a lifelong learner and providing comprehensive care for my patients. I am committed to becoming a compassionate, humble, and attentive physician who embodies the art of healing. I will uphold and build upon the historical values championed by New York Medical College. With immense gratitude, I accept this white coat and therefore take the first step towards becoming a knowledgeable and empathetic physician. Congratulations, class of 2025. All right. You may be seated. Dr. Ponterio, the dais is yours.
Parents, guests, and students, the white coat ceremony has concluded. Please remain at your seats until the stage party and the class of 2025 have completed the recessional. Once again, congratulations to the class and the families of the class of 2025.